about 27 years. I came out and I saw there was danger. So when I saw that danger, I said, no, I'm not going to remain in the four walls. I need to come out. So I started an environmental advocacy by using my own natural capacity, by walking long distances. And for your information, I've walked 3/4 of Uganda except Karamoja. The shea nut tree is called the women's gold. I am really very happy that, Mempro, you have chosen a very good topic for me to talk about. With the help of friends, I am running a project that is a small rate, that is pure 100% for the women. That project is to look into the issues of women who are directly concerned with the shea nut conservation. So we have every month we go to sub-counties of Yumbe district, especially Mount Kay catchment area, because that is called the shea belt. So the women are looked at because they don't go to cut the tree. It's men who cut these trees. But a woman has a very good influence at home. We are all born of a woman. I think I have a mother. We know how important women are at home.
I am a tomato farmer. I do climate smart agriculture because I am an environmental scientist. I do organic farming, but when I take my product to the market, the community will tell me, is this not tomato from Arua? I need the one from Kampala. When I keep telling them I am an environmentalist, we should do organic farming, you see the tomato clean but it can never rot for even 2 weeks. They tell me yours must go 10 at 500, but for Kampala must go at 3 for 1,000. We should advocate for technologies that can be able to save our environment through the process of avoiding tree cutting and then the fecal management. When you plant a biogas plant, you can even be able to mine people's toilets, which will generate for you the gas that can be for powering your house, that can be for cooking food. It is a very simple technology that West Nilers we have not woken up to fight the climate injustice. Thank you very much.
And my brother talked about how women are so influential. So my urge is to young girls and young women here. My encouragement to mothers is be an influence in your family. Even if school, education, even if church fraternity, even if government, one thing we should believe is we all come from homes. Every one of us here comes from home. An example is your young girl child, your young boy child, with whom you sit on daily basis at fireplace or telling stories or teaching them here and there. What will it take if you slot in an environment issue you discuss through with your child? I still remember how my mother taught us how to keep the environment. Yes, how to do kitchen gardening.
One thing that I have seen many people have not been emphasizing is the issue of bush burning. I am urging that since we have an environment department in the police, we also have gallant environment departments in the districts and also the lower local governments. We need to scale up our sensitization to the community members. If they are not listening, continue to intensify so that the illiterate Ugandans that we are seeing can become literate even if they did not go to school by protecting the environment.
So I want to put this challenge back to you. Are you people willing to come and support the city council that we come up with a bylaw for environmental sustainability? This issue of garbage management, people throwing garbage outside anyhow, some of these things need bylaws so that we prosecute. And I'm happy that the city court is now here and it is going to help us to also address some of these challenges. Thank you.
I come from a team. We are young farmers. My people in Logri are dependent on a chemical use. So what we are moving forward with is the use of organic fertilizers and pesticides. And right now, as I speak, we have those fertilizers and we distribute to some. So the action point which we are taking is teaching these people how to make these organic fertilizers by themselves.
Can we encourage or embrace urban farming Yes, we are talking about waste and all that. Can we reuse this waste that we have in our home states to do urban farming? Because when we don't do that, we are not going to end climate change. How innovative are we going to be as the community, as the city, to change our community? I think we need to embrace innovative ideas so that we can be able to fight the rapid rise in bottle use within the city if we cannot afford buying the reusable bottles, as they said earlier on. Thank you.
Thank you. When you look at Vision 2040, and when you look at the aspect of climate change, very interesting literature. It speaks about the 4 areas. It speaks about adaptation, it speaks about mitigation, it speaks about building resilience, climate finance, and how we are going to resource. Beautiful literature where our country has we have the greatest think tanks. And Mami, thank you, I share the same ideology. Countries pick our own strategies. I have moved this globe. They implement to the dot, and we go there and do what our colleagues love to do. Learning what? Visits. And they spend taxpayers' money on things that they sat technically. There's a professor in Makerere University, one time in a lecture in Makerere, he said, we are not a nation. We are a collection of people that came from nowhere. In fact, we are a bunch of jokers. A nation does not behave the way I believed, Prof.
We get it. So we are not really passively, or we are not intentional on what we want to do. We are just a collection, because a collection of anything is a mixture of different things you cannot understand. But if you understand your motives, or you understand what you want to achieve, you will develop and grow together.
And actually, when we talk of the environment, the climate, we're actually talking about the future.
Mindset change is a scientific term, meaning that you have to think in your head that the way we are living is not a good one. We can still improve our lives by changing our way of living. If there are things that have been preventing you from developing, going back to identify these things that prevent you from developing is what is called mindset change. 1 or 2 achievements are worth celebrating. We will join you in celebrating.
Climate justice. Climate justice. When?
We are an organization, a human rights organization that brings together girls and young women between the ages of 14 to 29. So when we just started working, our focus was just on girls. And then we realized that we cannot empower a girl without involving every other stakeholder around the girl. We actually had scenarios where people would be like, the girls are over-empowered. The girls are too much for us. Then we thought, how can we deal with this? So we brought in other stakeholders, the teachers, the parents, the communities, the boys themselves, everyone else around the girls, so that when these girls come back to the communities where they live or where they go to school, they are not looked at as outcasts, but they are looked at as girls and young women that are working so hard to get their voice, to have a choice and agency. So that's basically about MEMPRO. We have a lot of work in West Nile region, but this particular project focuses on climate justice and environmental issues.
As ActionAid Uganda, we want to acknowledge and recognize the efforts of all stakeholders in ensuring that we achieve climate justice. The word justice requires that we are equal, that there is equity, that there is fairness, that there is a just transition, that nobody should be left behind in the spirit of Ubuntu.
She has been planting different variety of crops which she sells commercially to pay our school fees. But she didn't have any knowledge on the chemicals that she uses as fertilizers. In her own thinking, this is going to yield her produce, increase the quality, and also increase the quantity. Not knowing that the acidic fertilizers that she was using were affecting the soils. They were affecting these little ants that Chairman talked about, the microorganisms that help to produce nutrients for the soil.
I'm a journalist. I work at Radio Parties. In the very first place, I want to thank MainPro and Action Aid. Different organizations have come up with this initiative of planting trees. The organization may give seedlings to this group with the aim, with the picture that after some years, this is going to create impact, maybe contributing to saving our environment. But now the beneficiary, what have you done? Have you made follow-ups? How many trees did you plant, seedlings? After 5 years, what has changed? Do you have this still alive, or they are gone? So the follow-up needs to be one of the key things. Have you done your part, watering the tree first of all?
Yes, there's also a concept brought here that the economic poultry farm, it produces bad smell of chicken waste for the people. Some of those things are things we could turn into manure. And if we are to manage them properly, we turn them to manure and then give a social corporate responsibility to the community around. But instead, there are no plans of managing some of these products. And it comes back to the technical people who offer licenses for these people to operate. It raises questions why you don't follow the right procedures before allowing somebody to establish such of these factories. I'm sure some leaders have not even reached those factories. They just ended with the developers in their offices. But it calls for a joint effort, including the media, the local leaders. Oh, sometimes I have to talk like a politician. So basically, those are the few concerns that I felt I should add on to what my colleague has presented.
I found with one of my customers from Congo that this person wanted me to spray my tomatoes so that she moves with it to Durba, that it can last for long. I said, my brother, no. If I do this, I will kill people. What I want to advise you to do is, the tomato can only be had if you have taken good care of it in the garden, not in the store. It is not mango that makes the tomatoes to last for long, but it is the variety that you grow. I refused. She left my tomatoes, she went somewhere. I said, yes, you are right to go. But just after 3 days, I received so many customers to buy my mangoes with free tomatoes.
My leader is never going to be able to solve all my problems from my home. And even from me, an individual, even if I didn't have a home, but I have a house or just myself, even if I was living just in the streets, within me, I have environment. So it's not the responsibility of this leader to come and solve my environmental problems. The law is very clear. The truth of the matter is all of us are functionally different. Because from my home, if I read this law very well, I should know that I am responsible to separate my waste into 3. The metals, the plastics, then the organic. Right from my home.
Since I stepped in, I was reflecting on my home, how I have been managing the waste in my home, on my compound, around my home. I have tenants, I live with tenants. I started encouraging them to manage their waste well. Keep them at least burned, much as I have a rubbish pit. I started by example, every other time you sort, you burn, you keep one, but let me tell you, after every 2 weeks you will find the rubbish pit is full. So my fear here is, those I live with are educated people, people who have gone to school, people who could understand easily. But if their behavior is like that, what about the community where I work that is 95% illiterate? What happens?